All right, the holidays are over. You drank a little too much. You want to do dry January. I'm here to help. I gave up alcohol about a year ago. I've been on the journey of trying to give up alcohol for the last 7 years. I don't have a rock bottom moment. I don't have any DUIs or jail time under my belt. But I was tired of hangovers and I was tired of not feeling like I was living up to my potential. I'd started my own business about 5 years ago, and my wife and I just had our first daughter this past year. So that was a big reason for giving up alcohol. Just life was forcing me to level up. But in dry January, I want to give you a couple tips because there's going to be some tripping points and some mindsets you need to go in with if you really want to make it to the end of the month completely alcohol free. The first couple days of dry January, you feel like, oh, this is going to be simple. Come next Thursday, Friday, you're going to be fully charged up. You're going to be feeling good, whatever, the 9th, 10th, 11th. That's where the real work begins, because that first weekend is where you're going to get a bunch of time back. So what I want you to think about preemptively is how you're going to fill that time. Before I talk about how to fill the time and different strategies, the mindset and mantra that you have to keep reminding yourself daily is if somebody asks you, do you want to drink? It's, no, I'm not drinking. I'm doing dry January. The mantra to yourself is, I'm not drinking for 30 days. Don't give yourself any wiggle room. If you half-ass this, the temptation is going to come. When temptation meets somebody half-assing something, temptation always wins. So you have to be resolute that you are going to do this. And beyond the confidence that you'll gain with just knowing that you can take a break from drinking, you're going to gain confidence in other areas of your life too, because you will have proven to yourself that you can accomplish a goal. And a pretty difficult goal at that. Behavior change is one of the hardest things for humans to do. So let's go to boredom. You're going to be pretty bored because most of your activities have revolved around planning for a party or planning to drink, going out to a bar, doing the actual drinking, having people over, drinking. Drinking is most people's hobbies. You're not even going to know what to do, and you're going to feel a little shame because you're going to realize, I don't know how to have fun without drinking. Okay, I got the antidote for you. I did this a couple years back when I was doing dry January, and I wasn't happy with where I was in life. And I was thinking about moving cities. I live in Minneapolis right now. I thought all my problems would go away if I moved to San Diego. I had this business at the time. I was 2 years into it, and I didn't want to have to start from scratch. I have family here. I didn't want to leave them. But that little voice in my head told me, if you move cities and get around a new group of people, all your problems that you feel right now will go away. And I knew it was a trap. What's dangerous about those little thoughts is that there's pieces of truth to those thoughts, but it's not the entire story. And so I entertained that thought and I negotiated with it. I said, okay, put that on hold. Maybe I'll move cities. But before I move cities, I'm going to pretend like I just moved to Minneapolis. And what would I do if I just moved to Minneapolis? So I thought about it and I thought, okay, go on Eventbrite, go on Meetup, figure out how to find friends and meet new people and get involved with new activities. So that's what I did, and it was great. I went to this random sauna exercise class at the Mall of America, and that was the first time I was introduced to the sauna cold plunge. And there was something just so enticing about it because it was so painful, but it was so fun. And there was a couple of us that were in the class that were just talking and hanging, and I felt for the first time in a while meeting new people in this sauna, and I felt like it was the start of new friendships and like-minded people. And so I went down that path, and not to make the story too long, but I joined that sauna ice bath club and ended up meeting my wife there a couple months later. And so you'll never know what might happen when you get outside of your comfort zone, get outside of your norms and patterns. So yeah, anyways, try to be proactive. If you're more of a homebody or going out is just not in the cards for the time being or that day or whatever, and maybe it's a Thursday evening, and switch up the home activities too, and be a kid again. Find that inner child, and you can chat GPT or Google up different at-home crafts or activities. I remember I made this like hidden book, and it was the coolest thing. I went to Goodwill. I bought this fat book. Let me see if I have it. I made this secret book, and now it's not secret because I'm showing her the whole world. But and I actually don't know if something's in here or not. So let's see. There's some cash in there. But doing stuff like that is just fun, and it is an activity that takes your mind off the normal. And so whether it's candle making or doing a set of Legos or something like that, if we're doing a puzzle. I hate puzzles. I would never do a puzzle, but maybe some people like puzzles. The point is, do something active and engaging and be proactive about this. Play cards with your friend or your significant other. All right, let's talk about cravings, because this is the part that is going to be the most, well, second most uncomfortable part of dry January. Couple ways to overcome cravings. First is state change, whether that's exercise, going for a walk, 100 jumping jacks, go to the gym, lift weights, move the body, get that thing in a different state. I think you could even just do a sauna and a cold plunge, or just a sauna and a cold shower at the gym if you didn't want to work out. That definitely is a state change. It releases all sorts of endorphins and dopamine. So that's the physical way to do a state change. The other way to overcome cravings is just get some NA beer. Go get some Athletic Brew. And Athletic Brew is delicious, by the way. And a lot of times with the cravings we have, it's not just the substance itself. It's the ritual around the substance. So it's the preparation, it's the cracking of the can, it's the pouring into the cold glass, and it's the camaraderie with the friends and drinking the beer with the pizza. So just do all that, but just do it with an NA beer, and then you're good. And the placebo effect is crazy. You're not going to get drunk or anything. You're not even going to catch a buzz, but the craving will be satisfied. Next topic is upgrade your consumption, both from a food standpoint and a content standpoint. From a food standpoint, go buy those organic carrots, baby. Go get some grass-fed beef. Take the beer money, take the vodka money, the wine money, and invest it in higher quality food. There's a double effect here where you're removing a poison and then you're introducing higher nutrient-dense food. Your body is going to feel incredible. You're going to feel like Superman. And we're always looking for homeostasis. Our bodies are always searching for homeostasis. So you've probably felt normal for so long. And so when you remove a poison and introduce higher quality food, your body is going to get this natural high. And it only really happens in the beginning, because if you live like this long enough, that natural high is just going to be then baseline. Now that is homeostasis. So you're not going to feel the differential, but you'll just always feel great. And if you start drinking again, then you'll feel how shitty you did feel before, but now you have something to compare to. But my point is, in dry January, ride that high, baby. Like, let's go. Feel good. Feel like Superman. When you do this, pairing with exercise, with community, with friends, pairing with work that's meaningful, you're going to start feeling amazing. Things change in your life. These are the fundamental blocks of living a good life. That's on the food side of things. From a content side of things, people think less about this, but the people we follow are just as influential, if not more influential, than our friends. So do an audit of the types of videos and podcasts and people you follow on social, and what are they really promoting, and what are the values that they hold dearly to them. Tune into Tony Robbins for a little bit. Tune into Ed Milet. Get in touch with some of Joe Rogan's stuff, even is really good for the mind and good. Search a topic that you've been curious about, or that you would be curious about if you were to be curious about a topic. That's a little bit of a hack too, because curiosity is a dying thing these days. But if you were to be curious about a topic, choose that topic to be curious about and just see who pops up in that topic and listen to a couple of the videos or podcasts in that topic. We want to introduce new things to our mind. This is a fertile ground for us, a garden, and it's time to pluck out some weeds. Those weeds might be the things you listen to or watch. Plant some seeds of fruit that will actually nourish you. So, okay, next topic. For me, not drinking in the beginning, it's out of sight, out of mind. And maybe that's not literally out of sight, but if you're not talking about it in conversation, your mind isn't going to be fixated on it, and you won't be thinking about what you're missing out on. It's already hard enough that you're around in this social setting where you would be drinking normally, but in this occasion you're not. So you don't need to also pile on talking to somebody about why you're not drinking. Might as well just talk about something else, life-giving and energy. Put the focus on them, or talk about a different topic. There's no need to talk about not drinking. If somebody asks you, why aren't you drinking? You can just say, I'm doing dry January. Ask them a question. What are your goals for 2026? Just answer the question, I'm doing dry January, no explanation needed. Throw it right back to them with a question and then make them talk. A couple tactical things. When you're going to, say, a house party or a social setting and you don't want to talk about it, if you bring an athletic brew, just bring a koozie and just throw that beer in the koozie. Maybe you don't have a problem saying I'm not drinking. I'm just speaking from my own experience. At first, it was hard for me to be around people that were normally drinking and I wasn't drinking. And they just assumed I was drinking. So I didn't want to bring up the topic of why I'm not drinking. If you're at a restaurant, bar, networking event type thing, just get a soda, water, and lime. Looks like a gin and tonic. Nobody will ever be curious about what you're drinking. And it's better than just a water, because there's something that other people think it's fun when everybody's drinking. And so we don't need to create enemies unnecessarily. We don't have to bring ourselves attention unnecessarily. You can just get a soda, water, and lime, and that's more festive, and you're more part of the tribe rather than just drinking a big glass of water or a water bottle. Like, do that if you want. But I'm just saying, if you feel a little uncomfortable already, these are some tactics that you can avoid that. You're probably going to feel self-conscious. You're probably going to feel uncomfortable. You're probably going to feel a little bored. You're going to want to drink and be part of the crowd and be part of the party. That might not ever completely go away. At some point, you'll get better and you'll enjoy yourself a little bit more. But that's just the trade that you're making. You're going to keep your wits about you, and you would rather have intellectual discussion than stooping down and just making yourself dumb to be part of the crowd. And there's nothing necessarily wrong about, I'm not here to say drinking is bad or immoral or anything like that. That's not my point. It's just I don't want to drink so that I can feel like I'm part of the tribe. And that's a trade I just make. And these are things that I used to be super self-conscious, and I still am to a little, in certain situations I'm self-conscious for sure. But it used to be way worse than it is now. And I would drink to mask my self-consciousness. And this was a process to work through. And self-consciousness, I think, comes from lack of confidence. And these are character traits that take time to work through and take time to process and then build back up and analyze and question the beliefs that you have about yourself, about who you are, about your identity. And this is deep work, and it's going to take longer than a dry January to process through. But at least I just want you to know and expect that these feelings very well likely could surface. A couple years back, I stopped drinking for 16 months. And the reason why I was able to do 16 months is because it was coinciding with the time that I was launching my business. I knew I did not want to go back and get a sales job. I don't hate sales, but I hate sales jobs. And so I was going to pour every ounce of energy into making sure that my business was successful. And when I look back on the early days of my business, I'm still in the early days. I'm year 5 right now, but first year or two, I was doing long days. I was fully immersed, and there was no way I would continue progressing and having the bounces go my way, getting the lucky breaks, if I wasn't playing at 100%. I'm just not that good. I'm just not that smart. I'm not that funny. I'm not that charismatic. I had to be at 100%. So my advice for you on this month is you're going to have a lot of excess energy, and you're not always going to want to do an arts and craft. So figure out, instead of a New Year's resolution, what's a new month resolution? And maybe it's not a resolution. Maybe it's a goal. But what is that thing that you could pour so much energy into that you have excess from what you usually spend on going out, drinking, recovering, which is a crap load of time, that you could pour into? Maybe it's learning how to build an AI app, or I'm just speaking from my own experience. Maybe it's writing a song. Maybe it's practicing an instrument, whatever. I don't know. Like, pick something that you're passionate about that you haven't ever given yourself permission to make time for, and then schedule it in your calendar so that you actually do it, because you're prioritizing this. If you give yourself time to drink and be hungover, you can give yourself time to work on a craft or work on a goal or a skill that actually is going to benefit you and build you up. So it's so much easier to work towards something with the energy that you have, rather than just eliminating something and then having this whole abundance of energy, not knowing what to do with it and going a little crazy. That drives you back to drinking. At the end of this 30-day dry January, my prediction is you'll be in one of 3 camps if you make it the whole way. 1, you will have white-knuckled your way to February 1st. And you won't be able to wait until you get that first drink. You'll meet your friends at the bar and you'll get hammered. And you'll probably be a bit of a hermit in January because you just don't want to deal with the temptation. And to that, I applaud you and I say, good job. You did 30 days without drinking. There were times in my life, years will go by without me taking more than a couple days break from drinking. And I'm sure a lot of Americans, or just people in general, feel that too. So 30 days is an accomplishment, and you can go back to drinking. Do that, because what's the point of setting an end date if you don't actually follow the freedom to start again after an end date? So yes, February 1st, go ham. That's going to be one section. There's going to be another group of people where they feel some slight improvement. They feel like their relationship with alcohol has changed slightly, but they're going to reintroduce it slowly but surely. Congratulations. Way to go. 30 days is no small feat. But I want you to know that whatever good feelings and energy and all that stuff that you think you can just kind of coast on, alcohol is going to grow like a weed in your life, whether it's a couple of days, weeks, or months. Eventually, it'll come back and it'll be just as bad as it was. So maybe for you, maybe then a sober October would be a good next challenge. Like do 2 challenges a year. It's not a bad idea. There's going to be a third group of people that feels good. And they think, man, there is something to this. And I don't need alcohol. It's been lying to me. It's been a bad trade. It maybe was fun and served me in earlier years, but I'm in a different stage of life now, and I really don't need this. And it's just me shooting myself in the foot. And so I'm going to continue doing no alcohol. And my advice to you, we all love to give advice. My advice to you is make the 3-month mark the new checkpoint. So you got 30 days down, go 60 days now. Commit to 60 days. Because at the 3-month mark, there's something special that happens. I'm going to say a law of personal development. It's called the 90-day delay. It's where the lagging indicators start to show. The leading indicators are you weeding the garden, you tilling the soil, you planting the seeds. And then this 30, 60, 90 days is watering it and having sunlight shine on it. And then at 90 days, you start seeing little sprouts and maybe blooms. And you're not going to get fruit yet, but there's going to be some true proof. And at that 90 days, then is your choice. You might go 6 months, double it again. At that point, you might just say, I'm doing a whole year. And it's going to be different for different people, but that's my word of wisdom on that one. So no matter which group you're in, you doing 30 days without alcohol is huge. It's a huge accomplishment. It's hard. It's going to be hard. Whenever we set out for a task and we actually complete it, there's a neural pathways in our brain become just a little bit stronger and wired in the sense that when I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. So if I say I'm going to run 4 laps around the track and then I only do 3, it's the same harm of not completing a task, of not finishing Sober October. Now, the running 4 laps is a lot easier than Dry January, but the point is when you say to yourself that you're going to do something, you should do it. With that said, if you mess up, if you make a mistake, if you give in to temptation, okay, no shame. Just don't do it twice. No 2 times in a row. Get back on the horse. Because if you go 30 days with only drinking once, damn, that's a whole lot better than going 30 days of drinking 7 or 8 times. We have this fallacy of all or nothing as humans where we think if we don't hit the goal, well, might as well, screw it. It's done. Stupid. Don't need to keep going on it. No. This is a process. This process has taken me 7 years to go through. 7 years is when I first really started to stop drinking. And to be honest, I'm just starting this channel now because up until a couple months ago, I didn't want to talk about drinking because it was that same thing of out of sight, out of mind. I did not have authority over it yet. And so I didn't want to talk about it because then it would reintroduce temptation. And I now start thinking about the topic. And it's like, oh, drinking. I actually feel like a beer right now. I do believe I have authority over it. I have tangible proof. And we're not going to get into that with this video. But just know it's a process and stick to it. I salute you. See you in the next video.